Today's weekly recap is being brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts, where coffee is for closers only. So what have I been up to?
It's funny that John mentions that because I forgot to talk about the case that I saw. Hey,
Dylan, you already took 15 minutes.
I appreciate you giving me a shout out, John.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to yet another CHG weekly recap. We are CHG, as you already know, and we're here to recap our weeks. It's where we give you a quick insight into what it's like in the week of a law firm owner. So let's start with me this time. Cam Corners, what did you do this week, man? Well, thank you for asking, Cam. What I did this week was something that I've been working towards for a number of weeks, taking me longer than I expected, longer than I wanted, but finally got it done. So I got the data capture system I promised last week done. I got the training done on it, and so now we have a system set up where I don't have to do the work, and we get every week all the data from the leads that come in, from the people who contact us for help with legal issues, and basically to find the people that we can help so we can find out how we're best reaching people and how to reach them better. And so I'm really excited about that because now I can turn my attention to new systems to build, because we build one thing up and then we build another and another, and then soon enough we're living in a sparkling metropolis, in a city, in a shining city on a hill, as they say. It's going to be the new America. I can't wait for you guys to see it. It's going to be great. Anyway, I think that's the most exciting thing that I got up to this week. So with that being said, Dylan Gonzalez, what did you get up to this week, man?
This past week, we had basically kind of done a run through several weeks ago on a bunch of cases that we had put into lit, and I had our pre-suit department and somebody else that works with our firm kind of run through, call up all of our clients that were in that bulk of cases just to kind of talk to them about their treatment condition, their status, and just make sure everything was kind of primed and ready, for negotiations, because a lot of those cases are in lit, but because we had to fast track them, some of them didn't get the attention that they necessarily would have needed for a standard negotiation. So I've been kind of reviewing a lot of those notes. It's about 50, 60 cases there, and looking at the medical bills and just putting valuations on them in anticipation of the phone calls that I'm basically, and letters that I'm sending out to the adjusters to negotiate. Other than that, we have a pretty big mediation coming up, and not too far from now, we're actually talking this week about getting a focus group together, just because you really want to kind of play out every potential scenario on how things, may go on the liability side, on the damages side. Frankly, when the cases and the value on a case is so high, they almost then become more difficult to value because you're talking about tens of millions of dollars, So, we're starting to get some things in place there and some other things. But yeah, that was pretty much it. That's what I really got into this week. And I'd say the only non-lawyer exciting thing is I'm looking to buy a new car. So had to go take my car into.
What's wrong with your car, bro?
Nah, nothing's really wrong with it, to be honest with you. But I just think it's we're long overdue.
What is it? A 2021?
No,
2020?
No,
2001.
No. Yeah. The one I have is definitely older. And I'm in need for an upgrade.
Dylan's got to show up to his client meetings really early so that they don't see what.
This is true. This is true. I mean, to be honest with you, I've never really been the type of guy that really kind of cares about what I show up in. It's just kind of like long overdue. You know what I mean? We need a little upgrade on the car department. At the end of the day, though, too, there's really no excuse for if, say, something were to happen to your car. Not that anything really ever has, but that's not really a position that I want to be in, especially when financially we're in a position to be able to kind of get a new car and look professional with it. So yeah, I was able.
Why do you stop at one though? Why don't you go with two? Why don't you get two cars?
No, I plan on it. I mean, it's a funny thing you should mention that, Cam, because after I get this daily, everyday driver, I was actually wanting to get a 911. So,
Porsche?
Yeah, Porsche. Yeah. So we'll see.
The Hot Wheels, right? Those things,
yeah,
you get those really cheap.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully the rest of 2023 is a good year, and maybe we'll be having a new discussion in November, December. So we'll see.
We're gonna have a new series starting in January of 2024 of Jay Leno's garage. It's gonna be like Dylan Gonzalez's garage. It's gonna be great. We can't wait for you to see it. Anyway,
so it'll be fun. Yeah. So I guess now that we're done talking about me, what do you drive, Igor?
So I drive a classic, you know what I mean?
Another 2021.
It's a 2000.
Yeah.
2000. Very exclusive model, you can't get it anymore, actually. Even if you wanted to go out there and buy it.
Just like the Model T. You can't get it anymore.
Well, just like the cars in Cuba. He was trying to kind of relive some of those glory days.
Yeah, so these guys just hate him because they try to get what I got.
You guys know, you and I are in the same crew, bro.
You guys have the same car.
Yeah.
That's true. And Cam, you don't want to know what he drives. It's not old. It's just...
He chose to do that to himself.
Yeah, it's
Papa drives a Prius, okay? It's great.
I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it.
Say no more.
Yeah, you said get it. So anyway, so no, this week was pretty good. I had lunch with a couple of people that I hadn't seen in a long time. Friends from the PD's office. I had lunch with a guy that we used to work with at the PD's office who was always like doing crazy shit in a good way. Like, he was always a good lawyer, always like fighting a good fight. And I hadn't really had lunch with him or really spoken with him in a long time. So that was really good. And then I had lunch with somebody who was basically like my first supervisor at the PD's office, even though like officially she wasn't my supervisor, but she was like a very influential person when I was in the office in domestic violence. So yeah, Bonita. That was cool. I hadn't spoken to her in a while. I hadn't actually, like sat down and had a conversation that was longer than 5 minutes or something with her. So it was good to catch up. It was good to do those things. And the pandemic happened and all kinds of shit happened, and it just kind of took everybody out of the rhythm of like being human beings and connecting and stuff. And we've tried to get out of that and come back to like how it used to be, but it takes like doing it. So I'm glad that we are doing it, and we're in a spot that we can do this consistently. This is just the beginning of what we're gonna do. And so that was good. The remainder of my week, I did some legal work. I'm still sort of onboarding Sean, even though like officially she's onboarded, but because her role is like a pretty high level role, it will require like hands-on, couple of hours a week every week, probably for the next 6 to 8 weeks, just to make sure that she knows everything that she needs to know and she understands the culture and gets up to speed on everything. So did a lot of that, and switched banks, or are in the process of switching banks. So like we finally got everything moved over. I sat down and did a timeline of what it was going to take to move everything, because it's not as easy as it sounds. In your personal account, you can switch accounts and that's it. In a law firm's account, especially if there's a lot of money that's changing hands, you got to plan it.
And there it is. Get thee behind me, Truist.
Yeah, it's like how much money is out there, how many checks are out there, like how, what's the timeline looking like all this shit. But that's done. And so we have a time in place, we have a timeline in place, and we're executing. And so we already started moving some of the bills over, moving some of the stuff over, and that's good. But yeah, that's pretty much all I did this week. What about you, John?
But before we talk about what I did this week, one thing that Cam forgot to mention at the top of the show was that today's weekly recap is being brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts, where coffee is for closers only. So what have I been up to?
It's funny that John mentions that, because I forgot to talk about the case that I
Hey,
settled.
Dylan, you already took 15 minutes.
I appreciate you giving me a shout out, John.
Well, anyway, what have I been up to? As I said, coffee is for closers only, and closed another one. This
fucking loser.
This one was not, it certainly wasn't the highest value case I've ever had, but two things that I was really happy about with this one. First and foremost, A+ client. Just great client. I mean, I wish I could have this client on, every case, because she was just, did everything that she needed to do. She was almost to the point where she was nervous and even a little bit embarrassed about the fact that she had put the case into litigation. Like, she felt like she was doing something wrong. I mean, she was just great top to bottom, would have presented very well if the case had gone to trial. And so I was happy that I was able to do good work for her. But really the other part of it was that this is a case where the insurance company was f***ing around. Not to, get into too much detail, but the bottom line was I had called up. They made an offer before the lawsuit was filed over a year ago. I called them and offered, my counter, like last best before suit was filed, was about double what they were offering, a little less than that. They basically laughed at me. We put the case into suit, did the litigation thing. A couple of months before mediation, I sent them a very low proposal for settlement that was actually lower than my last best. They apparently laughed at me again because they let it lapse. And then when we walked into mediation, that was really the only thing that mattered, because they let that proposal for settlement lapse. And they kind of knew what time it was. And we ended up settling the case for more than 4 times what they had offered me before suit was filed. So it's, the fun part about this job is every once in a while you get to stick a dagger into the insurance company. And this was one of those. So it felt good, and it felt good doing it for an A+ client. So, that's, at the end of the day, that's why we do this stuff. And so that was really the highlight of my week. Other than that, it was really just kind of getting, I'm getting close to trial on a few cases, and really I'm kind of doing those last sort of things where you're fine-tuning and really getting things in order for trial. And so I'm getting pretty excited about that. But that's what I've been up to.
It's a great story, John.
Yeah, great story. Hey guys, hold on. I'm glad you said that, because I want to talk more about me.
That's cold-blooded. There's a lot of psychological safety here in CHG. It's a great place to work.
5 stars in Glassdoor.
5
All right.
But anybody get a coffee? Only for me, though.
But why, though? Why don't I get coffee if I settle the case, bro?
I've
That's
done like
fucked up.
3 cases settled.
Yeah, no.
That was Iris. That was Iris.
Yeah,
case.
but John doesn't pay attention to anything else but himself.
Hold on. It's my turn to talk again?
Except Could be.
All right, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Hello.